Welcome to the Hunt Test Hobo podcast, your place for truckside chats and insights into the retriever game. Whether you're just getting started or you're a seasoned handler, this podcast is another resource for tips, tricks, and insights from both the amateurs and professional trainers' perspectives. Each week, we'll dive into the nitty-gritty of retriever training, sharing stories of success, overcoming challenges, and forging stronger bonds with our dogs. This is the Hunt Test Hobo podcast. I'm Chris Rudd, your host, fellow retriever enthusiast, and student of the game. Let's dive in. Welcome to another episode of the Hunt Test Hobo podcast. It's going to be a great evening today, talking to my new good friend, Glen Scarborough, who is are you the president? Did I get that right? I want to make sure I get your title right.
I am.
The president of the Hunting Retriever Club, which, in my opinion, is one of the greatest organizations in all of dog games. I'm a huge fan of HRC. Obviously, I have grown up running HRC. Yeah, you agree. That's right, Glenn. There might be a slight delay in our recording here, so I'll try to pause for a long time to give you an opportunity to talk. But let me get through the sponsors really quick, and then we'll roll here. So I want to first of all thank Purina Pro Plan for sponsoring this and every podcast that we do here. They support all the dog games. One of my favorite things about the Grand is getting all the food from all the other pros that are like, I don't need this food because, maybe they don't feed the best, So I go and I take their food from them because they offer it to me, which is great. It's like $200 worth of free food from a specific individual who will not be named. So I don't want to get in trouble. But appreciate that. I love that. It's great food. Purina Pro Plan, thank you for sponsoring almost all of the dog games. I also want to thank the Hunt Test Guide and all that they do for bringing the advanced online courses and coaching that Clark and Lyle are doing, as well as Retriever Foundations, which is Dan Erke and my online video series. You can check out the Amateur's Guide to Hunt Test Success, which is my course going through a lot of the things which I do to prep for the Grand, which is a very it's kind of the capstone of the HRC program. And then Dan Erke has his puppy course, Puppy Foundations, and man, it has been going off the shelves if it had a digital shelf to go off of. But it's been live for a week and a half and had so many people get that with the discount that's on right now, which will be closed by the time this episode goes. But very, 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 very pleased with the response from people. Everybody's a few individuals have watched all 192 videos, and I'm like, do you have a job? And they're employed. I know they're employed, but I'm like, what do you do that you can watch all 192 videos at this time? So props to them. I will not name who they are. And then I have a surprise sponsor. I don't know if I can call it a sponsor. Mr. Max Snyder. He's the chief executive of Amateur. I have no idea what this is, what his thing is, besides I looked on the website. He's got some sweet merch that he sent me. And the best part is, Max, you sent this to me and didn't tell me. And when I opened the box, my wife said, wow, people actually listen to your podcast. And, it kind of worked out for me. So thank you for sending the koozie, the hat. And then I wore the shirt training, so that's why I'm not wearing it today because it's a little sweaty. But if you go to his website, which I think, actually his website's not on his card here. But he's got the for Facebook, you can go Purebred Amateur and handle with pride. Max, I'd love to connect with you more, and I don't know if I can get that to focus. No, I'd love to connect with you more and learn more about what you're doing. But I love the hat, and this is like for a northerner. I'm wearing a timber hat. This is Grand Legal too, I think. Yeah. Oh yeah. So you might see me wearing it at the Grand, but it's a pretty sweet hat. I love it. And then the koozie, appreciate it. Sent me a few of those. So guys, check him out on Facebook. And so he got a free shout out for sending me some cool stuff. And made my wife think I was slightly cooler than I am. So thank you for that, Max. Appreciate it. Woo! Got through all those sponsors, man. It's been good. Feel like the last couple of weeks, I feel like we got a real podcast going here. But Glenn, I want to just say thank you for joining. Doreen speaks very highly of you. Doreen's kind of like my connection to all the HRC people She knows everybody. So whenever I'm like, hey, who's a great person to talk about, the HRC with? She's like, oh, why don't you talk to Glenn? He's the president. I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. So, and then Glenn, you said you do have listened to a few episodes, so I'm excited that you're on this podcast. Thanks for joining.
Absolutely, I'm glad to be here.
It's going to be good. All right, Glenn, why don't you tell me a little bit about how you got into the whole dog game?
Well, we have to go back about 25 years. I was a duck hunter, an avid duck hunter in my early 30s, and had a dog that I kind of sort of half-heartedly was trying to train using an Amish method, and chocolate male. Yeah, I see you laughing already. Chocolate male, and I don't know who was worse, me or him, but either way, he was with me. I got shot duck hunting, actually. I lost my leg above the knee, and when I come back and immediately went back to hunting again, I knew the next dog I needed a dog that was going to be super obedient. By that time, he was about 4, so he was a little bit old for me to try to do the right thing with him, and it was definitely my fault. So I had a friend that had just bought a puppy, and he actually passed from cancer. And when he did, he left that 4-month-old puppy to me. I was still trying to figure out if I wanted to train another dog or how to train a dog correctly, because I'd definitely not done it very well the first go through. Got a female that was out of Mr. Bill Autry's Cody, which Cody was at that time the #1 stud in HRC. He was well known in the South. I'm in South Arkansas, so he was well known all the way up past me. So she was out of Cody. She had great bloodlines and was young. And she was actually, when my friend passed away, the female puppy was with Mr. Bill and was about to start obedience. When she come back to me, immediately I said, hey, I know I didn't do a very good job the first dog I had, so let me see what I can do to get some help. So I contacted a friend that I knew that did the dog games. He told me that local club was 4 States Retriever Club, and he gave me the president's name and number, which was Derek Watson. I called Derek in May of 07, I think, and told him, hey, I need some help training a dog. And he got me to the first meeting, and from there they told me what documents to get, and had training days, local training days, a lot of hands-on, a lot of good members, a lot of people that could mentor me, show me what my mistakes were I was making and how to fix them when I did. That first female, I winded up getting a Hunt Retriever champion title on her, and I did run her in 2011. I think it was Spring Grand at Grenada, and I didn't do a good enough job for her to be a grand level dog, but she was an awesome hunting dog and even better house dog for me and my family. So she kind of retired early, and I got bit with the grand bug, and I got another dog and trained it up all the way to the grand level and wound up passing him 3 times. It was before we had a Hall of Fame title, so I didn't chase that. I got 500 points on him, did all the cool stuff, got a master title, qualified him for the Master National one year. Did things such as that, had a whole bunch of fun, got to meet a whole bunch of people. And along the way, I got hooked and got more involved in HRC and vice president of local club, president, secretary. I ran for running rule rep, which is each region. We have 23 regions, and each region has got a running rule rep and a field rep in HRC, and ran for running rule rep, got more involved in more of the political side, I would say, of HRC. And then along the way, just kept getting more involved, judged the Grand 3 times, actually was on the Grand committee, still am on that. And still running the Grand. I've got a dog at 6 that I'm going to be running in Nashville this fall, and hope to get a pass. I haven't gotten a pass with him yet. I had some bad luck, and also hadn't put in as much time into him as he deserves. So that kind of is a 20-something year nutshell of HRC and me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Did you say that you lost your leg while hunting? Did I hear that right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. I was.
Do you mind sharing that
hunting.
story, or is it?
No, absolutely. That's I'm left. God left me here for a lot of reasons. One of them is to respect the fact that I am a miracle. Uh, General duck hunting trip. Water was too high to be hunting, to be wading public land on a lake. I had myself and 3 other friends, 2 boats. The water was so deep, we were actually hunting under some trees. Decided around 11:15 in the morning we were going to shut down for the day. Normally around here, public land, if you don't have your birds by that point, then you're kind of just hanging out for camaraderies and not really to see many more birds. I was at the front left of my boat taking down the Avery blind, and my hunting partner's gun was stood up with the butt on the bottom deck of the boat, and in the chair was the barrel. His gun, and again, that chocolate lab that I had half-heartedly trained was with me. His gun was in that seat. Somehow or another, it was left loaded. It wasn't somehow or another. He left it loaded because, normally when you're taking down or you're picking up decoys, a few more birds come in.
Yep.
So he was waiting on that last bird to come in. And so he had a Auto 5 Browning 70-something model shotgun, 2 3/4 number 2s. I think those number 2s have about 125 pellets. It fell over and hit the side of the boat, discharged about a foot away from the back of my knee thigh area on my left leg. I had gunpowder wounds, so they estimated less than 1.5 feet away. Severed my femur artery and femur bone. Once you sever your femur artery and femur bone, the femur artery, you've got about anywhere from 1 to 3 minutes before you'll bleed out. Another one of the hunters that was in a boat next to me, a good friend of mine, Eagle Scout, jumps over. I was able to help him find a rope. I didn't fall out of the boat when I got shot, but helped him find a rope. When you get shot, your last sense that you lose is your hearing. So I could hear everything. I didn't remember seeing anything after the gunshot, but I remember talking to him, telling him where there's a knife at in my bag and where there was a rope in the boat, and he got the rope and cut it and strapped it around my leg. And first time he strapped it around, there was quite a bit of blood still flowing down the back of my leg. I could feel it. It was warm, and that day it was in 30 or low 30s, so it was a fairly cool day for down here. So I told him, "Hey man, you don't have that tight enough." I'm sure it wasn't quite that calm. It was, but I told him, "Hey, you're going to have to do better. You're going to have to get it tighter." And I remember hearing him break a limb in a tree, and he put that limb in there and he torqued it down to where the actual tourniquet was hurting worse than the gunshot wound. They threw everything else into my boat as quick as they could. I'm 6'5". At that time, I weighed about 235. So I'm not an easy person to move around in a boat when I can't help, and I obviously wasn't able to help. So they left me in my boat, and we took off toward the bank, a normal 30-minute boat ride. Since the water was up so high, they got me back in about 5 minutes. Ambulance was about 15 miles away. They got a 911 call out to an ambulance, the other boat that was left behind me. I remember being at the bank and asking my friend Scott that had put the tourniquet on my leg on, where was the ambulance at? And I remember him calling back, and remember hearing the ambulance come around the corner, about a mile or 2 away, and I kind of relaxed as best as possible. Ambulance shows up to get me. They carry me to a hot zone for a helicopter. They hot lifted me out, flew me about 25 miles to Texarkana, Texas, where I live. When I got to the hospital, I was in complete cardiac arrest. I had completely bled out. They were bagging me to keep oxygen in my lungs, but I had completely lost all my blood by that time. And they carried me down to ER and did a thoracotomy where they cut your chest open, squeeze your heart. Got about a 4%. Yeah, 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 4% chance of living through that procedure alone. Not counting the fact that I didn't have any blood. That procedure was developed in Vietnam with soldiers when the medics would come up on them, and they'd be a little, if they had a pulse, they weren't breathing, but if they had a pulse, the medics would go ahead and cut them open and try to massage their heart in order to get them to breathing again. And if they could get them breathing, they would get them out. If they couldn't, then that was all they could do. So it's still known to be the very last thing they'll do to you. That's the last resort to try to get you to keep you alive. 30 minutes in the ER, they cut my chest open, did that thoracotomy, and first time my trauma surgeon said he squeezed my heart and it didn't expand back out. He had 2 blood machines, 2 nurses, and 3 doctors pushing blood components and whole blood into my body. He squeezed my heart again in a couple of minutes, and he said it started beating. Once I, without electrical stimulation, which is pretty cool in itself, carried me to OR for 12 hours. I had a massive wound on my chest by then. I had a massive wound on my leg, obviously. They needed to be able to do a in-depth 4-hour surgery to hopefully save my knee and my leg. And I had coded twice more on the operating table. So trauma surgeon decided the only way that I would survive would be to amputate my leg. And he obviously went in and talked to my family, and they were in agreement to do whatever it took, obviously, which was a good call. So they amputated my leg, and 3 weeks of coma induced by medicine, and a couple of weeks in recovery. I went home, and probably, I think it was a little over 3 months after my accident, I went back to work and worked part-time for maybe 6 weeks, and then went full-time, and that was in the year 2000. So yeah, that's, still duck hunt, but don't do as much as I used to, and don't really get out there and hammer away in the mud and wading around, getting in the muck as I used to. But yeah, just very fortunate to be alive. I'm a miracle of God for sure.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I don't even know where to take this episode now. Like, that is insane. I mean, thank the Lord that you're good, man. I mean, that is.
Yes, sir.
How has your perspective on life changed since that experience?
I didn't, I've spoken probably over it'll be 25 years this fall. I've probably spoken to over 200 groups. The blood organization here in town called Lifesaver Blood Center immediately got me involved to volunteer for them to try to help drum up more blood donations. So, it's not hard for me to appreciate every day. I did know I was dying, and the boat ride back to the ramp, it was about a 10-minute boat ride. And I could tell the oxygen wasn't getting to my brain. I could tell I was take a huge breath of air, and I needed another one immediately because I didn't have enough blood to carry my oxygen, So I knew I was shutting down. I didn't see a light, I didn't the cool things that a lot of people see when they get close to dying. I had a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old daughter at home at the time. It just wasn't my time to go. There was things that I needed to be here for. And cool prosthetics nowadays. I used to love to play basketball, and I never was able to do that again on the level that I like to do back before I lost my leg. But this dog games allows me to play on the same playing field as you. And I can run my dog, and I've never come up to a test that I could not physically be able to do. Not my dog, just me physically. That's AKC, UKC, SRS. So this game was ideal for me. I tried to bass fish for a little while. I just couldn't get into that. I tried golf. I couldn't get into it. So that's and then now I've got hundreds and hundreds of good friends through this game all the way up to, up north, and where I'm going this weekend to Wisconsin, all the way to New York, Connecticut. The games took me places that I never would have went: Utah, Idaho, just on and on. So yeah, so really cool. It means, this game means a lot to me for a lot of different reasons.
Very cool. I should see you at Whistle. I'm running. My daughter's run started. I'm running a young dog and seasoned, and I'm trying to. I need to ask you a question. Is there any bad taboo to run a dog that's a week done nursing? She's been running for 2 weeks, and she can run. I mean, she's a grand champion. But my question is, are people going to look at me really weird with a dog with some slightly enlarged boobs?
I've seen them come in and run my test when I was judging a week before they had their pups, and I've seen them very quickly after having pups. So I think as long as it's, you feel like she can do it health wise, Mr. Dan or one of those guys can tell you way better on that than me, though.
Yeah, no, she's been running field trial stuff for a week now. She's doing really great. I just don't, I didn't like. Is there some taboo-y thing that I don't know about? That I should be aware of. So I figured I'd ask you. But okay, good, very good. All right, so man, thank you for telling that story. That's inspiring and at the same time just very. You got to respect what you're doing out there. Like that's. Accidents happen, but accidents can be, we can do our best to prevent them. And that's, you hear the gun safety every single time we get ready to run an HRC test. And, just hearing this story adds a little bit more weight to it, Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well,
absolutely.
Yeah. Sorry, the delay is throwing me off a little bit. But let's why don't you tell me a little bit about the Hunting Retriever Club for maybe those that predominantly run AKC, or maybe they're getting new. You'd be amazed at how many people reach out to me that are like, "Hey, I've never ran a hunt test, but I've been listening to your podcast," and I just never thought that was going to be the case. So for those folks, like, what is the HRC?
Right. So HRC covers all of the U.S. and Canada. We've got, I think it's a little over, I think it's 157 clubs now, and over 8,000 members. We have, I believe, 5 clubs in Canada, all the way from the far west coast to the far east coast, and then everywhere in between. We have a growing demand now for women in our sport, or I hope that we continue to grow our women population in our sport. We're a family-friendly organization. We encourage kids to participate. A lot of clubs do have kids that actually work our tests, as bird techs. But there should never be a time where you can't bring your wife and family or husband and family to a hunt test. You should feel perfectly fine. There shouldn't be anything happening at that test where you wouldn't feel comfortable being there. And that's something we really pride ourselves on being family friendly and making sure that we keep those standards.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the story of how the Hunting Retriever Club came to existence. It kind of came out of field trial world, and it was like, hey, I want something that is I got a great hunting dog, and I want his papers to show that. So I think that's really, really cool. I think the HRC is the closest to a real hunt that's out there. So I appreciate everything that you do to keep the game rolling and growing, and the grand just keeps getting bigger and bigger, I feel like, and harder and harder in a good way. So that's awesome. So can you tell me a little bit of like what's the future kind of hold? I know of a couple things that I've heard that are happening, and I'd love for you to kind of share those things.
Right. So I was vice president for 3 years, and now this will be my second year as president, and in that amount of time, we've really pushed our female handlers, as we talked earlier, and we've seen an increase for sure in my 20 years in the game. There's definitely been an increase in female handlers, and then also the youth. We just launched a youth handler program that we're partnering with UKC on this. So all your kid has to do to be involved with the youth handler program is to be a member of UKC HRC. So if you already have them listed on a family membership, you're good to go. If not, then they do have to join, which is $25 a year. Once they join and we get going, and we just launched this, so we're just literally not even 2 months out really on getting it going. So we're still putting it together, but we've got some great sponsors that have jumped on board that are going to help us, give us some cool stuff for these kids. They're gonna get a lanyard from RPM Training Products. They're going to get a duck call from the retriever trainer, Freddie King, and they're going to get a whistle from Windy Peak Supply. Along with that, we're working on getting them a handler's jacket. We've got a cool little logo for the youth handler program, so we're going to get that logo embroidered on, possibly even get their name on that jacket, and that's all just going to kind of be cool. Their swag bag. Yep, just to sign up, and we hope that they'll get it and get there and blow that duck call and the whistle and get out with mom or dad and help train the dogs. And they're our next generations are coming up, and even if we lose them for a while to college, and then maybe even with a family, maybe they'll bring their family back 15 or 20 years from now. So anyway, we're just in the infancy stages on getting this launched out, but I'm super excited about that. We're also going to work on putting together kind of a online gift store, so to speak. So they'll get credit if they run a test. UKC is going to track them. Don't have to pass, just run. So if they run a test, any dog they get to run the test, they will get a point for running the test. And after a certain amount of points, we're going to try to have an online store to where they can go on and not necessarily win, but earn some other products. So that's definitely in the works as well. Like I said, we're really we just got started. One thing, and you mentioned running. I'm not sure. It sounds like you've got multiple dogs, so you probably won't have your daughter running the dog that you're going to run. But one thing we got through at the national meeting was if a kid is a member of the youth handler program, they can run the same dog as their dad or mom or anybody else's dog that's run another test. So say, for instance, you run your dog and seasoned, your daughter could run the same dog and started. And your dog, being a seasoned dog, would already have its started points. So it wouldn't get any championship points by your daughter, but your daughter could earn points. And so that way the one dog families will be able to bring it. If they wanted to, they could run their dog. 3 or 4 kids could run the same dog. The dog would definitely be ready for a nap later that afternoon, but they can run, they can run dad's dog. A couple of brothers, 2 or 3 siblings could run the same dog and started or seasoned. The only thing that he can't do is if the dog's been run for championship points, say in seasoned, the kid can't run seasoned. We just couldn't get around a way to make it work without just so many logistics being involved that we just said, okay, it's got to be, can't be the same level as the level that the dog is running for championship points. So that's a big deal for HRC. We've never really, they call it double staking, I believe, in AKC, but we've never been able to do anything like that, and we got that that passed. So yeah, so I think the one dog families, come on and play.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's great. I had a couple. Well, first of all, I had like a testimonial sort of for this because Doreen kind of mentioned this to me, like, hey, there's this, there's a youth program now, and she sent me a single page document or 2 pages, I don't know. It was, and she said, this is hot off the press. I haven't really she's like, it's new. So I was like, okay, well, and then I knew Whistle was coming up and they were doing it. And my daughter, she trains, my youngest daughter goes to gymnastics on Tuesday nights. My wife takes her. And then my oldest and we go dog training every night. And I pay her $2 for the day. And she drives the ATV and she throws for 4 dogs. And we always bring her dog, Rex, and she gets to run him. And, she likes doing it. It's fun. And she ran at Whistle last year. And I paid whatever it was, like $65, $70 for her to run. And I told Doreen at the time, I said, hey, we got to figure out a way that this isn't costing me to run a dog that has a grand pass and started for my daughter that cost me this much. I said, we got to come up with something. And I'm not saying that it was my idea, but I was like, when she told me what it came out of, like, that's exactly what I told you. Like, that's what we need. Like, this is perfect. And I told my daughter, I was like, hey, do you want to do that thing again? She's like, yeah, I think I would. I said, but I guess there's like this new thing where you can get like a jacket and a whistle, and like there's like going to be an online store. You get points, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I'm in." like that was like, she went from like, "Yeah, I'll do it because it'll be fun," to like, I want to go do this. So that's my testimonial part. That like I feel like it's a great program. My daughter's all into it, and I think I saw on Sunday there's 3 kids at Whistle running started. This is said youth there. So I think that I think that's great. Like I so stinking love it. So anyway, I love that program. I think you guys, you came up with a really, really nice program. But my question is, let's say my daughter trains her own dog and she runs that dog and started and puts it under her youth category to get those youth points, and the dog doesn't have any sort of title points. Does the dog get title points, or is it an exclusive thing? It's one or the other.
Absolutely, it can get championship points in that scenario. If she brings her own dog up and she wants to run it, yeah, she's on the same timetable and same points table as everybody else. It's just for the dog, like you said, cool. the dog you had the grand pass on. Obviously it's already got, it's well past started season and even finished, as far as it's got all of its points that it needs, 100 championship points. So it can't receive points for started or season again. But yeah, okay. No, if she gets her own dog and comes up, yeah, she would follow the same guidelines as anybody else.
Okay, so if she ran that dog and finished, that dog would get the points.
Correct.
Because that's the level that it's at. Got it. Okay, I understand what you're saying. So it's the same thing as before. If you run a dog in a lower stake for fun, you don't get any points, but you can still do it. Okay, right. Makes sense. Right. Very cool, man. I love that. I love that program. I think that's super cool, and I hope. And the clubs have to choose to want to do it, though, right?
Well, you say want to do it. So technically, you're looking at the discount. So say, like, for instance, my club, right now, we're not offering a discount for a youth handler to run our test, but they can run it. The good thing for any club, if they don't want to, Whistles went big, they're giving a discount and they're going all out. If a club doesn't want to do that, then say if your daughter came and started at my test, she would count toward the 50 allotted to run started, and then she would pay the same entry fee. So it really doesn't hurt the club at all. Now, again, we hope the clubs would maybe give them a discount, but we're so new on this. I don't know that the word's really gotten out to a lot of clubs, because Whistle's heavily involved. They were heavily involved with me In the youth handler program, we had people on the committee that was from Whistle. So obviously, Sandy was on there, and she helped quite a bit. So it didn't change anything for the weekend test. Really, all it does is the kid gets points for running the dog,
I see.
and then
but they can offer the discount.
They can, yes. So that'll be on a per club basis. That you'll still have to pay the fees. The $250 a dog fee to UKC and to HRC. But kind of like Texas, man, you gotta pay those. But as far as if they want to cut a deal like Whistle did, that's outstanding. And Whistle has definitely raised the banner. They've raised the floor pretty high on this now, so they put pressure on other clubs to follow suit. And I hope all of us eventually give a discount to the youth handler.
Yeah. $35 as the dad that's paying it. Like, I was like, this is great. I love it. So if I can cover her 4 ducks that get thrown, I think it's a great deal. Because how often do you actually fill up started? Perfect. I mean, maybe clubs do, but I don't see it happen all that often. So props to Whistle for leading the charge and all my good friends up there. So appreciate it. Okay, so yes. The next thing I wanted to ask you about is Doreen was really pumped, and she kept sending me photos from this women's seminar that happened. Can you tell me a little bit? Because you said you guys have been really focused on getting more women handlers involved, and I'd like to hear kind of what you've done in the past, kind of leading up, that's kind of led that charge to now the seminar that happened.
Right. So Jack Gravely was president prior to me, and he had a passion to get kids and women involved, and now myself and then Pat Johnson as the vice president, we all really want to see more women involved from A to Z. In the past, I don't know how many years ago, they had a women's seminar, and I think they had several. For whatever reason, they went away. It wasn't because they weren't they didn't have a good turnout. I'm not real certain on why they went away, but I just knew that some of the women locally went to those seminars, and they still talk about them. So I always said, you know what, if I ever get to a point where I can put some time into that's something I think would be beneficial for HRC. So last year we put together a committee for the women's seminar. I had 6 women on there. One thing that I had heard from the prior seminars and the women that attended it, that was the big thing, was that they learned from other women, and they learned how to handle the gun and handle a dog, and they learned some basic HRC skills from other women. And there was no men involved, and that really always that stuck with me, because I thought, because I know my wife particularly, she did great and started with the dog that went on to pass the grand, did great with him. But then when we went to season the shotgun and me teaching her how to use a shotgun, she just said, "Nah, you go on and do it. I don't want to go any further." Now, my wife carries a pistol with her every day, so it's not the gun necessarily. It might have been more the fact that I was trying to teach her how to use the gun, and that kind of thing. So I was one of the things that I impressed heavily on the committee was, let's do this. It'll be a women thing. Let's women teach women. And though that committee, we had a couple. Vanessa now is in Arkansas, but she was in Wisconsin at the time we started, and so was Miss Doreen. Had one from Oklahoma, one from Arkansas, one from Georgia, and one from Connecticut. So we had them all across the country. They worked hard. They put the guidelines together on what they wanted to do. All the way from starting out very basic, like a woman that maybe she's never even seen a hunt test, but very basic. We got them. We got those same sponsors to come through with a lanyard, whistle, duck call. Garmin and Purina gave them some cool swag. Avery Banded came in big with some cool stuff. We got some bags. Ace Acres Retrievers is where we had it at in BB, Arkansas. They come through and sponsored them well. Got T-shirts. and all it cost the women was $25. They came in. We had the committee limited the amount of women they thought would be a good group size. So they had 20 women at the seminar, so it was full. That was how many they thought would be best. The out of the 6 committee members that put the guidelines together, 5 of them attended the event. The one that didn't, her apartment flooded the night before and she couldn't come. It was a 2-day event. Started early Saturday morning. They started out with, like I said, basics on how to load a shotgun, handle a gun safety, blowing a duck call, how to, some real basic elements of handling your dog. We had a veterinarian come in during lunchtime and talked about canine first aid. The afternoon consisted of them going out and loading shotguns, spinning on a bucket, firing poppers, just basic stuff. Again, the guys, I was there, the guys all went out and trained dogs, and the ladies did their thing. Saturday night, we had a great meal, a lot of camaraderie with them. And then Sunday, they actually went out and did fun tests. They said we had some launchers set up, and they went up and used dogs that were trained. They didn't get to bring their dog, but they used dogs that were above the level they were running. So they got to come up and see what a well-trained dog acted like and how to handle them. They ran blinds. They blew their whistles. They blew their duck calls. They walked to the line. They did walk-ups. They did all kinds of cool stuff, and every woman that attended was super excited, and several of them have already said, "Hey, I'm coming to the next one." So to fast forward a little bit, the next one will be in Iowa, and Mike Botts will have it in I think the Davenport area. So sometime next year we'll be having the second reboot seminar for women, and then we also too, if there's a local club that just wants to do one locally, that doesn't want to do the national thing, they've maybe got 6 to 10 women that want to just do one locally. That's great. We can get them in touch with this committee. The HRC Foundation, which is heavily involved in education, they give out scholarships every year. I think last year they gave out 35 scholarships, maybe more. But they actually have some funding that they can give to these seminars. So anyway, it's got a bright future, and we're hoping to keep it going. From years down the road, and maybe in 3 or 4 years, we'll see big dividends with more women handlers and maybe judges or EC members or you name it.
Yeah, it's interesting because I see at AKC test that I run, there's a lot of women that are running that, and when I was talking to Doreen afterwards, she's like, "It's amazing how many people just need help with the gun." Or how the women need help with the gun part of it, because they perhaps they haven't shot a lot of shotguns. They maybe shot rifle. Like my wife has shot a rifle a decent amount, but trying to understand how to shock a gun. I mean, shooting a pump gun is not the easiest thing in the world. Plus the safety getting the safety right, loading the poppers. It is a crash course just to run your dog, but I think it's important. I think it adds a whole nother level of excitement for the dog. It's a more realistic experience. So I really like today. I mostly train field trial setups every day, but once a week I get the gun out and I sit on my my banded chair, and I feel like I'm at the Grand, and I run a setup. And the excitement level that the dogs have when they hear that winger go off, they hear that popper goes off, they feel that gunshot. It doesn't matter how you can throw a guy standing out there, the white coat, 20 yards, and he shoots his boom gun and throws a bird, and it's nothing like, man, when they bang. I mean, it's a whole nother level to those dogs. So it is another level of steadiness that comes out of those HRC dogs. So I think it's really important, but it is a challenge. Like my daughter shoots a little 20 gauge, and trying to figure out like how do I get her to seasoned where like she could operate a gun when she's like 50 pounds. Like how am I going to get that 12 gauge to work? So like those are the types of things that we're trying to figure out. And I can imagine to just that if you haven't operated an 870 a lot, it can be daunting. I mean, I've gotten a couple gun violations on accident, and I think I know what I'm doing. And so we got, it's hard. It's complicated.
Yeah, for sure. And like you said, that just running your dog in the season level and without the gun is tough enough. And then you throw in the gun and being safe with it, and shouldering it, aim, track, and shoot, and taking the safety on and off, making sure your gun's cleared, and that's a lot. And normally in season, you got a dog that's young and got a lot of go and a lot of energy, and it's tough. And I think that unfortunately we do occasionally lose women in our sport because they don't want to learn the shotgun for whatever reason. And maybe this seminar will help a few along the way, and maybe they'll go out and teach the others locally.
Yeah, great. Well, is there anything else at the HRC? Like, kind of, what's the kind of the future hold, or what's your guys' goals for the future?
Well, obviously, keep growing. We're super healthy. Economies seems to be getting a little tougher every year, but we still grow, and we want to grow. We want to keep our fees down, our costs down, so that the family can come run our tests and keep them all in a great price range. Talked to Tracy today, Tracy Stubbs with the Grand Share, and he was talking about we got some new sponsors on board for the Grand to keep that $400 entry fee at what it is. And that's really important, is to keep the prices down so where that amateur can run the test. You've got 5 days minimum that you're going to be at the Grand, hopefully, because you're running 5 tests. So you're going to have probably 5 nights in a motel minimum, up to maybe 10. Then you got your entry fee. And then, of course, we got to eat. So, so it's not a cheap sport, but we're doing all we can to keep everything reasonably priced for that amateur, to be able to keep playing our sport.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I mean, $400, it is steep, but I love that you guys are figuring out ways to make it work. It's beautiful, 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 beautiful. So, well, we're coming up here to our hour. Glenn, is there anything else that you'd like to add?
And I really appreciate your podcast, because a lot of times you answer questions that you as a judge, you get that guy standing in the gallery that won't ask a question because he thinks it's a dumb question, and then you've covered a lot of those questions that won't get asked. So never a dumb question. So great podcast. I've enjoyed it. I laugh a lot with you. You keep it on the humorous side. I don't know how much we laughed today, but that's probably because of me, not you. But no, I love the game. I hope we get more people playing it, and hope to see you this weekend, man. I won't get to judge you, but maybe I'll get to catch up with you at some point in time.
Yeah, Glenn, I appreciate you jumping on, and there's a chance. I think it's a chance that I can get my my finished dog in finished, and they get winter and finished, and then I get if I get her in, it'll be two out of 3. What is it? 66% chance I end up in one of your tests. We'll see.
Yeah.
But
they got some.
Either way, I'll find you.
Yeah. Great. Well, they got some awesome judges. I'm with Mike Botts, but they've got a great line of good judges coming, and it's 35th anniversary. So if you're in that area, come over. If nothing else, just to do the banquet at Saturday night. It'll be a lot of fun.
Yep, absolutely. All right, thanks, Glenn.
Thank you, sir.